Gretna prepped at Shaw, started at Ole Miss before playing for the New Orleans Saints. He's also the host of the John Fourcade Show. I'd like to tell you Thursday nights, WHNO Channel 20 at 6 p.m. There's a radio show after the Saints games on WGSO 990 a.m. The Saints, of course, play at Cleveland this Sunday at noon. You know what happened to him yesterday. Here to talk about that, please give a warm welcome to John Fourcade. John.
I guess there's no joy in Mudville today. Yeah, that's what, we sit down and watch the game yesterday, and I'm sure everybody's got their opinions of it. And first words came to my mind yesterday, getting ready to do my show last night, somebody walked up and says, "Is this the 2012 defensive team?" I went, "Oh, calm down. It's one football game." If anybody would have said the Saints went 16-0, I would have probably slapped them aside the head. There was no way the Saints were going to go 16-0. So it's one loss, folks, and we all know it's a situation where it's a game where the Saints probably should have won it. But that's the thing about professional football. We talked about the college ranks, how you got more players, and it's a little bit different. When you get in the pro ranks, guys, remember, those guys on the other side of football get paid just as much as the guys on your side of the team. Atlanta wanted to win that game just as much as the New Orleans Saints, and you got to break it down in the areas of the football game when you go into the game. And I felt when the game started out, the Saints went down the field pretty convincingly, and you got 3 points out of it. A touchdown would have been better off. You had a guy jump off sides, pushed it back, and you ended up having to kick the field goal. He kicked a 31-yard field goal, and so we're up 3-0. We get the ball back again, move it down, and same thing happens. You get field goals. You can't get field goals in the NFL, and all these coaches know this, coaches up here. Field goals pretty much don't win football games for you unless it's at the end of the game, which you saw yesterday. If you can get touchdowns, you're trying to get touchdowns, and we know the Saints with their offense is trying to get touchdowns. And then when you jumped up 13-0, it looked pretty good. Then you get them at 20-7. We're all sitting there thinking, licking our chops, we're getting ready to go to Cleveland for next week. You have to play 60 minutes of football. And in this case, with the Saints offense, it was moving the football quite a bit. And I like where the Saints offense is going. Yes, Drew did throw an interception down in the end zone, going in. People called me yesterday in the show asking me, what's wrong with Drew's arm? First and foremost, Drew's not going to throw the ball very deep. He's not a deep throwing quarterback. We all saw that yesterday. 2 passes to Joe Morgan were a little bit underthrown, the same one to Robert Meacham. He's more an intermediate type quarterback. Drew's fine. We all know what Drew brings to the table. Folks, I am so glad we have a guy on the team named Brandon Cooks. If you look what Brandon Cooks brings, the young freshman, young rookie, brings so much to this offense. With the flip side of that, I want to talk really quickly on the running game. Are we going to say any more about our running attack? They have some good running backs. I thought Robinson ran hard, ran well. I thought Ingram did a good job running the football. I thought the O-line at moments in the game did a real good job opening up the holes. They ran for 139 yards, and Drew threw for 333 yards. So it's a situation, we're fine offensively, and we just got to make some things happen. I think score more touchdowns than setting up for field goals. Well, with that said, let me flip it over to our awesome defense that we thought we were going to have. Folks, they're going to be fine. If you look at it, it's one football game. There was a lot of issues in yesterday's game. If you want to look at it, first and foremost, and I made a comment on the set here earlier, I would have never signed a football player prior to playing your first football games, because I had a time when I played, I won't mention his name, Pat Swilling, but we played, Pat signed a big contract after having a 12.5 sack season. The next year he had 3. Guys that get big contracts, and I'm sure Junior Gillette is happy he's got his contract, and I'm happy for him, but it's just, right before you play a ball game, and he happens to be on your defensive front line, and they happen to get no sacks, and no pass rush, and Cam Jordan, he was the same way, didn't do anything on the front line. That's where I think the Saints lost the game. I mean, if you look at it, I think the front line didn't put pressure on the quarterback, nor did they consume any sacks. If you look at the secondary, they've had some issues in the secondary. People looking at Robinson as well as White on one end, but you have to look at the other side of it. Lewis didn't play one of his better football games. Where was Kenny Vaccari at yesterday? He's trying to run with Devin Hester. That's not going to happen. So overall, I thought the secondary for the Saints let him down a little bit yesterday. When you got a quarterback throwing for 448 yards who sets his own record, you have to look first at the defensive line. And when we were talking about the show last night, I said first and foremost, when a quarterback, being a former quarterback, when I'm throwing quick passes, that has nothing to do with my secondary. Excuse me, that has nothing to do with my D-line, because usually they won't get the ball, they won't get to the quarterback. It's your secondary. But when you're throwing deeper passes, your defensive line has got to make some plays up front because you can't cover back there. Now, I'm going to give Matt Ryan some credit here. What he did to hurt the Saints yesterday was he moved. You know, he's not an RG3 back there, but what he did was he moved the chains. He picked up first downs and ran the ball. He picked up 6 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards. That's containment. That's D-line. So to play the D-line and to play the secondaries hurt the team yesterday. Now, are they in the top 5 in the league in the defensive standpoint? I think they are. I think Rob Ryan has got a defense there. They'll go back right now. I sure know they're back there right now and retooling up the defense and understanding that it's one football game. But you lost to the team of all teams you don't want to lose to. It's the Atlanta Falcons going on the road to play in Atlanta when they really much had this game. Now, you talk about the overtime. People say, well, he shouldn't have got to that point. Here's the point of the game. I thought, maybe I'm wrong, some of these coaches up here can vouch for this. I thought the play call where Ingram ran around the outside with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and he ran out of bounds. Now, I'm not going to blame Ingram for this at this point. Ingram should have stayed in bounds. That's one way. Now, you don't know if somebody would have tackled him and knocked him out of bounds that point. But the play call should have been inside the tackles, where you force them, one, to make a timeout, or two, if they run the clock, that's fine. But by you stepping out of bounds, you automatically let them keep a timeout, you stop the clock. I didn't like that play call right there. Then they got down to the goal line, and people said, well, take a knee, take a knee. There's no guarantee the Saints will score a touchdown. You needed to score a touchdown. You left him with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Maybe if he stayed in bounds, it's under 1 minute, and they have no timeouts left. We don't know. We weren't there. I can't decide. That was a crucial point in the football game. Then you go to overtime, and receivers must know this. When you catch a football in the middle, all players know that somebody from behind you is chasing you. You need to protect the football. Now, that didn't lose their game for them. The game was lost on the defensive side of the football. Overall, let's look at the Saints football team. We all know they got a great special team in the punter. The kicker played well for them. They're going to have a good offense. We know they're going to score points. Defensively, I think that was a mirage yesterday. I think you'll see better. You won't see the 2012 defense back here. You'll see them getting better as they go along. You know, we all sit around, and all of you do this before the season begins. All right, what do you go? 8 wins at home, go 5-3 on the road. That's how I picked them, 12-4. My look looks pretty good. 12-4 is what they still look like. I think they can end up 12-4. Now the question is, you got to have Seattle lose 5 games. You know, that ain't going to happen. So you better get ready to go up to Seattle. Overall, they go to Cleveland this week. You know, they call him Johnny Football. Well, he's backing up. To let you guys know, the first original Johnny Football was me back when I went to Ole Miss. It wasn't Johnny Football there. I had the name first. Just let him know that. Now, he had to go patent it to Johnny Cleveland right now. I told him not to do that. Overall, I think I like what Cleveland's defense brings to the table. We all know Cleveland's got a good defense. Offensively, Ben Tate got hurt yesterday, so we'll see West at running back. Hoyer played better in the second half. They brought the game back against Pittsburgh. He should have probably had a chance to beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh won the football game. It's going to be tough to go up there. Remember last time we played Cleveland with Rob Ryan playing it as defense coordinator, they beat the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints go up there and take care of business. This was the best thing that could happen for them. Early in the season, we all thought this game was going to be won by the Saints at Atlanta. Atlanta's a good football club. Don't think they're not. And they'll be there at the end of the season. I think the Saints go to Cleveland, take care of business, and come back with a win. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Anybody wants to ask some questions? I see some guys are ready to hit the door. I knew when I got up here, Steve Caldwell, you're ready to get out of here. And that's typical of you, always running on me. Anybody else want to ask anything? Ro, you got a question for me?
No.
I didn't think so.
Raise your hand.
Did y'all find out what made Mark Ingram so mad when he was tossing his helmet on the sidelines?
Mark Ingram or Colston?
No, this was Ingram.
Oh, yeah, early. I have no idea with Ingram. It's like a crapshoot with him. I guess if he runs tough or bad or something doesn't go well for him, throwing your helmet down is not going to do anything good to break your helmet. You got to get a new helmet. So I can understand Colston's situation. You know, he's a guy that really doesn't lose a fumble or do bad things, and he was really pretty peed off at the end of the game there. But overall, you know, I thought Ingram was playing well right now, even preseason and in the regular season. The running game will be fine. Any other one?
Raise your hand.
Wow.
That easy?
That's simple. My nephew. We got to talk about Tulane and LSU here. They got a guy behind me that was watching this filmer. My little nephew had a good game. Plays for Romo High School. He was 5 for 5 the other night for about 100-something yards. He had 3 rushing touchdowns and 1 throwing, 1 was called back. He's a junior, so y'all hearing this, he's a junior. And he's as tall as Drew Brees, so don't deal with his height now. He can play, he can throw the football. And he won 2 state championships in a row. Romo's played well, but Romo's got a great offensive line. They got a real big, Kenny and I was talking about it. They got a running game, a big offensive line. They got 2 big defensive tackles that LSU and Tulane should be recruiting really hard right here, keep these kids here locally. I think Romo's got a good shot to repeat this season at the 5 level, the 5A level. So if he stays healthy, he's going to put some good numbers up there. He doesn't run quite as good as I have, but he throws 10 times better than I've ever thrown. And he's a lot smarter than I am, trust me. You know, he don't do the pose, but I could probably get the pose for you.
Can you say a few words about Johnny football? Do you think he's going to make it?
You know, we were talking about that yesterday. We were talking on the show. People asked me about RG3, compared him with Johnny football, man. So, you don't know. I think the kid's got potential. I think the young man's got potential, but they gotta fix when you get him in the ball game. First and foremost, I know you can't run around the NFL. Those guys run faster than you do. They hit a lot harder than you do. I would think he's in due time. I think the best thing he can do is sit back and learn. If he gets to understand how the game is played, he can be another Drew Brees as a situation of his ability, but not running the football. In due time, I think Johnny Manziel is going to be a decent quarterback. Can he play the NFL? We won't know that until he gets out there playing. And a year or 2 from now, ask me that question, and you'll be able to say. You got to wait till somebody plays first to really determine. You know, we saw what he did in college football, but once you go to that next level, trust me, those coaches and those players up there are all better than what you saw in college. Anybody else? Well, guys, thanks again, and I appreciate it. Let's pull for the Saints this week. Thank you.